your shoes or someone listening to this, and it's something that I think Josh and I are doing I don't want to say good or bad job. It's what we're trying to figure out now is being present in the moment and focusing on the day-to-day, giving ourselves grace, but at the same time, thinking down the line, making long-term decisions. Okay, where do we want to be in 5 years? What are our long-term goals? What are our short-term goals? But we don't want to get ahead of ourselves at the same time because then we're not maximizing the present. How do you weigh out how to balance to make decisions for short-term versus long-term?
I don't think there's a science behind it. I think every individual is actually different, and the upbringing you've had is different. I find in some of the Eastern cultures, they sometimes just have a longer-term way of thinking. It's not necessarily a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah.
I find, especially in U.S.-based publicly traded companies, it's always about the quarter, and that's because of the financial filing period of I've got to make my quarterly earnings.
Yeah.
I think a lot of companies fail to create visionary outcomes because of the quarterly earnings. I've been in those situations where we can't invest in that because we've got to deliver what we need in the short term. I think Amazon has done a really amazing, Jeff Bezos has done a really amazing job here, where as a company, they weren't profitable, even as recently as 2015 or 2016. And now, mind you...
Was that recently?
That recently. There's articles that are, and I can share them with you,
Wow.
that Wall Street, I'll call them pundits, were going, that Amazon, why would you ever invest in their stock? It's never been profitable. There's no way they're going to get to profitability. But you know what Jeff Bezos was doing? His retail business was almost like a giveaway. It still probably is kind of a giveaway. Margins are razor thin. There's not a ton of money when that box shows up for the 13th time at your front step. It's not a ton of money being made by Amazon. But they have this $100 billion business called Amazon Web Services that has 60, 70, 80% margins. That's also part of Amazon. And what do? They took their extra data center capacity and they sold it to customers. So they're not just a one-dimensional company. They invested in the long term. So what do? You want to have continuous improvement day to day. You want to achieve your short-term goals. Because if you don't stack the wins, your short-term goals, you never achieve your long-term goals. But don't keep your eye off of new innovative pivots or ideas as you're achieving your short-term goals, right? And this is where you can't just be in the box saying, I said I was going to do X, I did X, and then I said I was going to do Y, and I did Y. I said I was going to do X, I did X, but as I'm starting job Y, how can I build on X? Especially because I've written down what sometimes you'll see described as a BHAG, a big, hairy, audacious goal. I think people don't write down what 5 years from now they want to be. And I have a really good strategy for this.
Yeah, please.
Which is write a letter to yourself. We do this every year in some of the CEO groups I'm in. Write a letter or write a press release, which is the leadership pack of cards achieves its IPO. And then you've now got your eye on a prize, and then you can make your short-term decisions saying, are we getting to an IPO? Or are we getting to letting the stream carry us? So I really challenge everyone to write a press release, write a letter to yourself. Dear self, it's the end of 2026. I had a great year. I sold $2 million of extra business than I didn't even think about doing. And I hired 4 people that were better producers than me at whatever work output I wanted. And then you score yourself every year, but you know what you'll find? It's amazing. You do it a couple times in a row, you'll find more often than not you're actually achieving your vision. And even though you probably don't review it except for once a year, but the short-term decisions you're making are supporting your long-term decision. And don't just write down professional goals. Write down personal goals.
That's incredible.
I made a decision when my oldest son was in 7th grade. I said, I only have 5 more years with the kid before he goes off to college. Every spring break, every summer, every Thanksgiving, every Christmas, we're gonna go on a vacation, right? It doesn't have to be anything fancy, or we're just gonna do
time with each other.
I wrote it down. That was my thing. I reviewed every single year, and I would say, did I do it? Now, short-term decision time. It's November 1st. Thanksgiving's coming. Oh man, Thanksgiving's here. I gotta make a decision. Where are we gonna go? we're going to go to Disney World. He's going to have the greatest experience of his life.
Yeah.
So you make that decision, and now
Right.
your short-term decision is guided by the fact that you wrote down your long-term vision.
I'm gonna do
Otherwise, your short-term decision is like, hey, you want to go anywhere for Thanksgiving? No, let's just stay at home. Well, no, our
That's not
long-term
right.
vision is to make sure we maximize our time with him before he leaves for college.
That's incredible. And how long did you say you've been doing this for?
I have been done it for probably 7 or 8 years. But really, I joined two groups. One is called Vistage, and one is called YPO. And I do it with it's a peer group. It's others who are going the journey with you. And so part of the exercise is you share it with others around you. So it's not just solo mission time.
Yeah.
And you hold each other accountable.
That's awesome.